This library book nook needed a small table to sit next to the chair, a funky reading lamp, and a decorative rug. These are the fun objects I make in this video.
In a world, a tiny, miniature world that exists only in her imagination.
Hi y'all, I'm Tippy Cal, MiniMakerSal's imaginary friend and video narrator. In this video I show you the making of the table with an ashtray and cigar, an Art Deco inspired floor lamp, and a fabric rug. Here we go. Sal had an old woven table runner in her stash of fabrics, which just happened to have a piece coordinated with the colors in her library. This piece is about 6 inches by 3 inches, a bit larger than what she needed. The first thing she did to the rug was to paint some burgundy spots on it. Those painted dots didn't show up very well, so she put 2 small stitches on those spots using 6-strand burgundy embroidery thread. You see the back of the fabric after she stitched it up. And here's the front of the rug with a close-up of those stitches. Using a Sharpie, Sal drew an outline just outside of what would be the final rug. She then cut a piece of paper that size and drew it on the back side for trimming along the straight lines. She cut the rug out neatly, then brushed a coat of Mod Podge to make it stiffer and to prevent fraying. Using a metal ruler as a straight edge, Sal then used her X-Acto knife to trim the edges even more neatly. Sal wanted a nice edge, so she braided the stick-strand burgundy embroidery thread to serve that purpose. Before this step, Sal had used Mod Podge to coat the braid and held it tight between a couple blocks of wood so it would dry stiff and straight. She then used Titebond to glue it around the edges of the rug. If you remember, there was a lot more gold and less black in the original fabric. A couple coats of Mod Podge seem to reverse that. So remember, if you are going to coat fabric with Mod Podge, do test it first. You may have a good outcome like Sal did, but it could be a disaster. Again, test first. And this is how the rug turned out. Sal had some 2 1/4 inch balsa wood discs she cut out for a previous project, so she applied gesso to what would end up being the tabletop. The first bit of painting on the tabletop was this triangle of burgundy acrylic paint. After a couple coats of this, she removed the masking tape and painted the rest black. She ended up painting the table legs black, then taped all but the bottom 1/4 inch. Then Sal painted alternating ribs with that reddish gold color, just because. Then she glued 1/2 inch cork stoppers to the top of the legs and painted them black. With that reddish gold paint, Sal added some little lines to dress up the tabletop. She glued the legs to the bottom of the table with wood glue, then after they dried, she coated the legs with glossy Mod Podge. And she coated the tabletop as well with that Mod Podge. May I present to you the finished table. Now to the lamp. Sal designed this Art Deco inspired design on her computer and printed it out on clear transparency paper. Sal didn't get any pictures of how she put the lampshade together, so this diagram does so. First, she rolled the transparency around twice. As you've seen, the design was on half the width of the transparency. That printed color faced the clear section. Next, using super glue very carefully, she glued the top and bottom edges and the end. She then used 1/8 inch black graphic tape along the end and the other 3 printed vertical lines. And this is how it looked glued and taped together. Sal made the pedestal of the lamp by using a 1 1/4 inch steel washer with the decorative piece of metal hardware you see here, and with a 1/4 inch piece of balsa wood, all glued together. To fill in the space between the stick and the hardware, Sal first stuffed some small pieces of paper towel into that space. She then topped it off with some spackling compound. To make a base for the light bulb to sit on, Sal drew the hardware on her computer, then cut it out and painted it. She used an 1 1/8 inch circle thingy she found at Ace Hardware, glued the spoke thing to it, and topped it with a plastic bulb from a dollar store LED light. Here are the lamp sections, close to being put together. This is the lamp base painted with a copper acrylic paint. Since the dowel on the lamp base was pretty rough in texture, Sal took it a step further by dipping a piece of foam pool noodle into the paint and then patting it on to give a finer textured finish. She super glued the base to the underside of the light bulb hardware, and voila, a finished lamp. And here it is without any distractions. At the business end of the cigar, now she dipped it into paint and then dipped it into her ashtray with a piece of woody ashes from a cotton swab. She painted it with acrylic paint she mixed up to be the color of a cigar. At the business end of the cigar, she dipped it into paint and then dipped it into her ashtray and smushed the ashes as seen here. And this is how the cigar looked at this point. A cigar needs a band, so she glued on a piece of red paper and then put a teeny black and white dot on it to simulate its logo. Time to put the cigar in its ashtray. Sal had a bag of tiny seashells and remembers big ones being used as ashtrays in the 1960s, so that worked for her. She glued the cigar in place. A clean ashtray with a cigar in it makes no sense, so she glued a few spots and added some ashes to complete the look. And here's the ashtray with the cigar. And here are all those pieces: the rug, table, lamp, and ashtray with cigar. Next, Sal has a lot of little things she needs to make to add to her library Book Nook. So back to her to tell you about those. Of course, a man's library table should have a glass of cognac next to that cigar, so I will attempt to make a brandy glass. I have to get some framed pictures hanging on the walls, and certainly many books and perhaps a game or two. So these are things my next video should show. Thank you so much for watching this. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment or question for me. See you next time.